I have a slightly different opinion about DOGE now than I did before. So I'm starting out at a look at the reaction already. I'm telling you, I started out in a very negative place about the constitutionality of it, the reckless appearing approach, muscling people around. I didn't like any of it, so I definitely had strong negative feelings about it.
Yes.
Now, after having watched this half-an-hour interview on Fox News, I'm feeling a little better than I was before.
Okay.
So I'm starting at pissed off and scared.
Yep.
So I'm like 1 or 2 ticks up from whatever that. So still not in a great place about the whole thing.
Yeah.
But feeling a little bit better about really one aspect of what DOGE is doing.
Expand upon that.
On that?
Yes.
Okay, so
There's the F-35, the F-22. F-22 is already like...
you're going to have to talk to me in Top Gun planes because I don't know the numbers.
Now Trump wants to make a new fighter.
Isn't it the F-40 something?
Probably F-47. I'm guessing.
Oh, please.
Am I right?
I think
I'm right. It's the F-47. So that would be a 6th generation fighter. I mean, we're looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste is in there. That's undeniably wasteful spending.
You know that I've had some strong feelings about Elon and DOGE.
Yes.
Some heated moments.
Oh,
I
yes.
immediately reacted to the unconstitutionality of this not really a government agency.
Yeah, not...
Kind of is, but kind of isn't.
Yeah,
and
not really just...
muscling their way into these government agencies and accessing computer systems and...
blocking Congress, which is critical.
Yeah.
Not allowing Congress into these buildings to see what's happening.
Yeah.
Congress has
the whole thing felt sort of strongman, authoritarianism,
Yep.
fascist kind of behavior. So I think it was scary. So I was scared and upset and mad. So I definitely have had some strong feelings about DOGE. But after having watched this 35-minute interview on Fox News...
I also watched it.
Yeah. I keep up with that side. I try to. Anyway.
It's a hard watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I guess I have a different opinion about, I have a slightly different opinion about DOGE now than I did before. So I'm starting out at a, look at the reaction already. I'm telling you, I started out in a very negative place about the constitutionality of it, the reckless appearing approach, muscling people around. I didn't like any of it, so I definitely had strong negative feelings about it.
Yes.
Now, after having watched this half-an-hour interview on Fox News, I'm feeling a little better than I was before.
Okay.
So I'm starting at pissed off and scared.
Yep.
So I'm like 1 or 2 ticks up from whatever that. So still not in a great place about the whole thing.
Yeah.
But feeling a little bit better about really one aspect of what DOGE is doing.
Expand upon that.
On that?
Yes.
Okay, so what is it about what I heard in that interview that I felt like, maybe that's not so bad?
Yeah. What did you hear?
Any ideas on what you think it was?
Nope. I have no clue. I have genuinely no idea what it could be.
Really?
Yeah. I have no idea.
Okay, so the part that I picked up on, and it sort of ran, it was the...
An undercurrent?
It was the idea that ran through what all of them were saying. All of these... I mean, these are rich men. These are businessmen who have expertise in
Other
different fields.
billionaires, yes.
Like, basically other billionaires. Way littler billionaires than Elon.
Co-founder of Airbnb is there.
Yeah, so that's a bigger one.
That's a big billionaire.
That's
I don't know. That they didn't name drop the rest of them.
Yeah, they didn't do a net worth under all their names.
Some Wells Fargo banker, some guy who was like their CEO or SEO or CCO or whatever, something like that. But
yeah, so these guys are from a variety of industries, and they have expertise in these industries because they've made a lot of money in those industries. So, okay, the thing that made me feel better about it.
I thought it would have to be a powerful thing to, despite the, let's say it's 10 things.
I think it's
for sake of argument, it's one thing. It needs to be powerful enough to at least drag the other 9 things that suck up one peg.
Okay, so
or drag you up a peg in terms of opinion.
Yeah, up a peg or 2. I'm a retired doctor, so I've worked in hospitals. I've worked in the VA system.
Businessman.
All over the place.
Technically.
Own my own business. So I've seen it all as far as healthcare goes. And there is a significant amount of waste, fraud, and abuse in healthcare and the healthcare system. But the other thing that is a problem in the healthcare system is the electronic medical record system. So my little doctor's office has a different electronic medical record system than the VA, and a different one than the clinic next door to me.
Tons
And
of different companies have
all these companies, and they don't speak to each other. So I don't know when somebody got an X-ray, and so I order another X-ray, or I can't get access to somebody's blood work from another record from that other database, so I order it again, and I order my own. So there's all this duplication of testing because we can't get access to results because our databases don't speak to each other.
Get a records request.
So yes, so I can get the records
You can reach
eventually,
out, yeah.
but I have the patient with me in the room right now.
Oh, true. Yeah. You need like a stat.
Why can't I, let me just look in your national medical record.
Your chart, yeah.
I'm going to say it like this. Why can't I just not look in your national medical record
Yeah.
that either they all sync to or that we all use?
Or everyone reports to, or
Everyone reports to, whatever that it is. So why can't I just go straight there and get it immediately on my own system? This is 2025. Like we should be able to do that. And there's tens and tens of billions of dollars a year that is wasted on not having a medical record system that operates like that. So with that background, I heard them describe the antiquated software systems that all these agencies are operating on. And they even gave examples of some aspects of government that are operating on a paper system still. That thing with the mine and all of
what was that?
It was the federal retirement system. It takes 6 to 9 months to process your retirement paperwork. Bottom line is this: inside all these government agencies, there's all of these antiquated software systems and independent databases with information, and none of these databases are speaking to each other. And it's an easy place for lots of waste to happen.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that, having worked in healthcare with all these different electronic medical records, and the need for some sort of a database that everything speaks to, because it'll save so much money. And I feel like, okay, so maybe that's true. I'm sure at NASA they use really good computers, but I know in the healthcare industry, which is the biggest industry in the whole wide world, it's the biggest economy on earth, is the United States healthcare economy.
Yes.
It's the biggest single industry on earth, the United States healthcare economy.
Yeah.
An independent industry inside a country, there's nothing that's bigger. It's trillions. It's like, I think it's like $4.5 trillion a year.
Yeah.
Is the economy.
$4.5 trillion?
I think it's something like that. That's the economy of healthcare in the United States. It was $3 trillion when I was doing the math on it in like 2020.
I actually remember seeing that whiteboard.
After having watched these experts and billionaires in their field, and they describe the feeling of like, look, I've got a bunch of businesses back home. I'm already rich. There isn't any reason for me to be here other than I was invited to come and to try to help some government agency be more efficient and to take our business expertise. Obviously, they have expertise, in business, and to try to bring that into these agencies. And what can we do to update all your systems so everything operates more efficiently?
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, if I was the president of the United States and you were my vice president, and we have all these government agencies that are bloated budgets and, they call it bureaucracy or, whatever.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that me and you, being the patriotic Americans that we are, and because we represent the people, we would want to be good stewards of the people's money. And
Yeah.
I think that one part of what you and I would do would be some sort of DOGE-like thing. I want a massive effort to go into all these agencies, like full audit of everything, of not just an audit of like money in and out, but like an audit of the processes that are happening inside these agencies, how it's organized, how the people, what are the work, what is the work, getting done, what's getting accomplished. I don't know, the organization of everything, basically. I feel like me and you would do that if we had our own administration and we wanted to be good stewards of the people's money. Because there are computers that are operating on 1990s software in government. The VA electronic medical record system is DOS based. Do you know what?
Yeah, I know what it
DOS,
is. Yeah.
like just text on a black screen.
Yeah, the black.
Are you kidding me? Like, we invented Windows. Remember? Remember when Windows came out? You can use your mouse and click on icons on a screen now.
Yeah.
You can't do
My
that
screen
with the
isn't that big and the computer isn't this deep.
Exactly. Wouldn't we do something like that? Some version of Doge?
Yeah.
I would.
I would get myself JFK'd. I'm not allowed to say what happened.
Oh, yeah.
For this reason. Where the waste, fraud, and abuse is.
2 places mainly. So go ahead and say the first one.
The Pentagon.
The Pentagon.
Is where the waste, fraud, and abuse is at.
Yeah.
I'm talking about waste, fraud, and abuse.
I would argue.
I would expand it to maybe even the Department of Defense. You could probably expand it to the whole department, but the Pentagon in particular is quite bad.
They lose billions.
Okay,
and they have no idea.
Maybe tens up to hundreds of billions of dollars that have just vanished into a black hole in the Pentagon.
Right.
That's a little more interesting.
Yes.
These huge, ludicrous government, military contracts.
Right.
Where and why? What are we doing with that? That's a far more interesting and useful time of we're finding fraud.
Yes.
That's far more interesting. Not
yes.
cutting cancer research, not firing national park rangers.
Yes.
That's not waste, fraud, and abuse. $100 billion in military contracts going to nothing or have gone out, and that's it. And then the trail ends. Yeah. That's far more interesting.
Yes.
If we're actually interested in finding waste, fraud, and abuse.
If Doge completes whatever work that they're doing, and
I would expect several $1 trillion found via the Pentagon.
It's the only place he's going to find $1 trillion.
Yeah.
He has a goal that he's going to find $1 trillion by his 130 days being up.
They would have to cut the entirety of Medicaid and still would not achieve $0 to Medicaid, just completely eradicate it. Not even $1 trillion, still not there.
Right. It wouldn't even that.
Yeah.
Even
still
that.
Not
it wouldn't
there.
be enough. It wouldn't be enough.
And Social Security doesn't count because it's its own tax. So it doesn't weigh on the budget.
Right.
It's its own entity pretty much.
Right. Right. It's
the only
part of the
other place that the money exists is the defense budget.
Medicare and
so you'd have
the
to
defense budget. Medicare, Medicaid, and the defense budget
are the 3 big ones.
Are the 3 big ones. But for sure, that kind of mysterious high dollar, just missing billions.
With Trump also wanting to, the F-35, the fighter, which already isn't even really the best fighter we have. It kind of is, but kind of not.
Yeah, well, it has a soiled reputation.
The F-30, there's the F-35, the F-22. F-22 is already like...
You're going to have to talk to me in Top Gun planes because I don't know the numbers.
Okay. So in the Top Gun and the training is an F-18.
Okay, yeah.
The one with the wings that fold out is an F-14.
Yeah, old one.
That's the old Cold War one. F-18 actually technically is also from the Cold War.
Okay.
Like the late 90s or the early 90s. Then there's the F-22, which everybody knows what that one looks like. We've been using that for a while. It's pretty much...
It's like a standard jet fighter.
Pretty much a wonder weapon.
All right.
It's
F-22.
Kind of like the single greatest.
God, we're off on a tangent. We're going to have to hack this whole thing.
No, there's a point. I'm tying it in.
Oh, you are? Okay, good.
Then we made the F-35, which is like...
In the interest of the viewers,
several billion dollars to make one.
F-35?
Which is like a stealth fighter. So it's a slightly different role. No one even competes with the generation before it. So I don't know what we're making this for. We already mopped the floor with everyone's military. So unless we're fighting aliens.
Yes.
Now Trump wants to make a new fighter.
Isn't it the F-40 something?
Probably F-47. I'm guessing.
Oh, please.
Am I right?
I think
I'm right. It's the F-47. So that would be a 6th generation fighter.
What's that supposed to do that the 5th generation fighter doesn't do?
To be that much of an upgrade?
Yeah.
It would have to be like an X-Wing or a TIE fighter from Star Wars. it would have to be that level of insane.
Yep.
So we're looking for waste, fraud, and abuse, and we're just going to build and contract even more expensive fighters.
Would that be considered?
No one person can tell me why.
Would that be considered okay?
Be considered waste.
Just to throw that's
waste.
It's wasteful spending.
Absolutely wasteful spending.
Okay, I agree.
Absolutely wasteful.
I agree.
We're looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste is in there. That's undeniably wasteful spending.
Is that part of DOGE's role is to find bad decision making on spending? And
also is a part of what they're doing. For waste, we'll talk about waste. There's 3: waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste, the DOGE is doing nothing about waste. They're interested in the Microsoft 365 keys that aren't being used. There's like 300 of them. We've saved like $10,000 in the federal government. Really really, just identifying wasteful spending. That's,
So it's
like a dead weight on the budget. It's not the $2 trillion contract we're about to sign with Lockheed Martin for F-47s that will do nothing. They'll never get used.
So you're telling me it's laughable that DOGE is finding a few $100 million here and there.
Just spend a week in the Pentagon and you'd get your $1 trillion. Just open file cabinets.
I don't even know if they'd have to go that deep.
And no, just walk into the first desk and just dump all the drawers.
I don't even think you'd have to open a drawer. I think just what's laying around on desktop.
So DOGE is saving a couple $100 million. One F-35 is $109 million.
A single plane.
A single plane
is 100.
And we want to make a more expensive one.
Really, we won't even use.
We don't even use F-35s.
We don't even use
F-22s.
We don't use anything. We don't use any
the planes that.
God, that'll be such a waste of money.
Yep, it's the biggest waste of money.
Why would we? Even Elon himself said in a tweet like
in the interview,
year or two ago,
passively mentioned, there's money missing in the Pentagon. They failed an audit, and then stopped talking about it.
Yeah, I know. He did. Nobody pushed on the.
And no one. And the thing is, no Republican, at least. I don't know which Democrats would have went. No Republican will ever touch the Department of Defense in the Pentagon. They will never touch it.
I don't know if
all of them are paid. Their campaigns are being donated to by either directly the MIC or those funding the MIC.
It would be the one thing that I feel like would be pretty scary for a president if they wanted to go and mess around with that.
Context for viewers who are maybe not unaware, our aircraft carriers, the Gerald Ford class, which are huge, fully stocked, fully munitioned, fully staffed, could take down probably like 90% of the countries in this world alone. That's how powerful our military is. We have 13 of them. If we wanted tomorrow, we could just take over the planet. That's how powerful the military is. So why are we spending even more every year and buying more advanced shit? For what reason? There isn't. So that's waste.
Got it.
They're not finding waste. Fraud. Can anyone name the fraud?
So I think that fraud in this context, the form of fraud would be anything paid out to like a fraudster. It could be someone who stole some old lady's social security number and now gets a check every month. And it's, that would be a fraudster, but sure, like one fraudster isn't that much. But if you find lots and lots of fraudsters and, doing what they're doing, they will find some. I mean, it is inevitable.
Social Security
is it going to be massive?
Has audited it.
Yeah, it's
on the high end, it's 3%.
I was going to say it's 99% good.
Yes.
But if you think about how big the dollar amounts are, even if it's only 1% of it is fraud, 1% of the entire budget of Social Security is a pretty...
pull this up. Keep talking. I'm sorry. I'm pulling something up.
Yeah. So, but still, like even Bernie said this, and I thought to myself, I would have wanted him to acknowledge that 1%, even if it's just 1% fraud, that means 99% good, but just 1% fraud in Social Security, 1% of the yearly budget of Social Security is how much?
Social Security as a whole is $1.5 trillion.
So what's 1% of 1.5 trillion? 10% of 1.5 trillion would be 150 billion. It would be $15 billion.
Oh, okay.
So now, is that the $1 trillion that Elon is talking about? No.
And it's not going to solve this insolvency issue with Social Security. Because the claim is that Social Security is going to bankrupt the government. It's like a part of the talking point for Republicans.
Right. Yeah, DOGE isn't going to solve that problem through fraud.
No.
No.
The more important thing there is just raise the cap on Social Security tax.
Raise the cap.
On the dedicated payroll tax for Social Security.
Right.
That's funded.
Yeah.
You raise the cap. Well, if you remove the cap, it instantly has all the money it could ever need, and you can give people more benefits.
Yes.
And it'll still have all the money it ever needs.
That's all it would take.
Yep. Immediately. Just one stroke of, Congress just makes one vote, and then immediately everyone will get more benefits.
Wouldn't that crush business?
Nope.
Really? They would find a way to survive?
Yes.
Despite having to pay no cap? Because Amazon would have to pay a massive amount.
What, are you going to leave the United States?
You don't seem concerned about that.
No. You're going to leave the United States? You're going to take your business elsewhere? Probably not. There's one thing that the U.S.
I'll go operate in China.
There's one thing that the U.S. has is that it is the United States.
We do have that going for
You're
us.
like, you could probably convince yourself to leave other countries if you're a business. You will not leave the US. And so long as you're here, you're not going to ransack the government and the citizens of this country.
I'm with you. I'm on board.
So,
If this was going to be a debate, we're not debating yet.
or at least double the cap. The cap's only $175,000. That's extremely low cap. Anyway, so any complaints about Social Security? Fake. Loans are not being handed out to children.
Yeah, he did say something about that.
Yeah,
there was SBA loans. That
yeah,
were going
SBA
to,
loans. Yes,
I think a 9-month-old was the youngest. So
not happening.
I don't know if it's happening.
Well,
How do we know?
Well, he hasn't proved any of it either. So the burden of proof is on him as well.
Okay, so you're saying that he has claimed that it's happening, but we haven't seen any evidence of it at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Burden of proof is absolutely upon him, and I know him to be a liar.
Yes, and he also.
So he has to overcome a large burden of proof for me to buy it.
If he's doing so great, why won't he go to Congress and testify about it?
Because he's not.
Because he's not doing great?
Yeah, he's not doing a thing. Another example is the $1 billion survey.
Yes, right.
Another lie.
That's interesting because it wasn't just Elon who talked about that, but it was
The other liar.
another guy.
The other liar, yeah.
Yeah, what was the deal with that?
So let's see. The Federal Consulting Group, an arm of the Department of the Interior, brokered a $75 million contract to design website customer satisfaction surveys, and then attempted to award $830 million to conduct similar surveys. So $75 million was all that was ever allocated to create large-scale, national-wide surveys. Then they, through the Department of the Interior, attempted to get more to do further surveying, in which case that little group, the Federal Consulting Group, was dissolved.
So what does that mean?
Actually, he didn't save $800 million because it was never allocated. There was never a contract. It was never spent. They never even found the money.
I get it. It's misleading.
Yes.
I don't even need the analogy.
A lie is a lie. So literally nothing was saved because 75 was already spent, and then 830 million was never even beyond asked for.
Right.
That was it. And he claimed $1 billion was saved. Another small fact I want to add: I'm looking at since 1939 how many federal employees we have. We currently are sitting about 3 million.
3 million federal employees.
Biden was low as 2.8. Trump was as low as 2.8. Obama was as low as 2.7. Clinton had the most ever with 3.4.
That's interesting.
So,
Yet he was the last president to balance a budget.
Yep.
So interesting.
We're currently sitting at similar governmental employee status as 1945 and 1944.
Which is...
World War II famously was happening in the mid-1940s.
So we had more government employees at that time.
I'm assuming it's not military personnel because we had 15 million people in the military by the end of the war. I'm assuming this is not military personnel.
Yeah.
So the graph is pretty steady. In the 70s it was 2.8, in the 80s it was 2.8, in the 90s it was 3.1, in the 2000s it was 2.7.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is another fact. There's not another claim of there's so many employees.
Oh, like the government employee, that it's so bloated.
It's so bloated. I'm like,
right. You're not going to save a ton of money.
No.
And already
if anything, you begin to, because it's fairly clean in terms of employment numbers. You immediately start doing harm. Particularly, we're firing IRS employees, the government agency that makes all the damn money for the government.
Well, he made a claim that sounded ridiculous in the interview.
Please bring it. I might remember.
Well, so I'm trying to be open-minded as I'm listening to this interview and listening to these guys talk. I'm really trying to stay unbiased about it and just to hear, is there some sort of positive happening here? And then the IRS came up and they said that they found, if I'm not mistaken, they found 1,400 jobs that they're about to cut. And all 1,400 of these people, their only job was to hand out phones and laptops to IRS employees.
To provisioning laptops and cell phones.
That was their only job. 1,400.
Something tells me that's absolutely a falsehood.
Right. It sounds so ridiculous.
Yeah.
How could one government agency employ 1,400 people to be responsible for doing nothing but
pass out laptops and cell phones.
handing out laptops and cell phones to only government
Yeah.
employees within.
Something here screams lie on his end.
Right. It just
Maybe
sounds so
1,400
ridiculous
people had the authority
to do that or something. Right.
while also
Yep.
managing 800 employees in an office building.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
That's a bit different.
Exactly.
So maybe we can get to the more.
But he didn't expound on it in any way,
Nope.
and it left me thinking, what the hell
that's kind
are
of
you
an
talking
insane
about?
claim that
Right.
you've just made.
So unfortunately, he lost me a bit when he said that, because that sounds like banana sandwich to me.
He lost me a bit when he was speaking with Fox News. That's when he lost me.
He lost me when he backed out of Jon Stewart's
Coward.